in the future if you want. We are looking at Milwaukee's M12 plastic pipe cutter or shear. This thing is a really, really sweet tool if you're a plumber or if you're a renovator like myself. You got to have one of these, and I'm going to show you kind of cutting some pipe in this video and just some comparisons on other options to cut different types of pipe. So we're going to kind of go over the specs on this thing first. It's a really, really nice tool. It weighs at 14.3 pounds. Doesn't sound right. That's a spec, but it doesn't feel like 14 pounds. It's got a 1.5 amp hour battery. You can get this as a kit or you can get it as a bare tool. Now, the 1.5 amp hour battery fully charged will give you 200 cuts with this tool, which is pretty sweet. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notify bell. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video because it definitely helps us out. And yeah, if you're watching us live, make sure you leave some comments. We're going to do some questions at the end of the video or during the video when I get kind of near the end here. And if you have any questions about tools behind me or just anything construction related, I'll do my best to answer them. And we can have a little chat afterwards. So back to the tool. It's pretty solid. It's all metal construction. The blade itself is stainless steel. This blade can be replaced. So if you break it or if it just gets dull, you can take this cover off. It has onboard tool storage right here on the back for an Allen key. And that Allen key is primarily for taking this cover off so you can change the blade. What else can I say about this thing? This will cut most pipe up to 2 inches. So ABS, PVC, Schedule 80, which is pretty hard stuff. And overall, it's just a really cool tool. It's got really good rubber overmold. There is one thing I don't like about it, and I'll tell you that in a second. It's got a variable speed trigger on it, and it's got all kinds of safety locks and stuff like that, so you can't chop your fingers off, because this thing is a serious tool. I mean, you could cut your finger off very easily, and this tool won't flinch. So let's take a look at sort of the buttons in here. We've got 2 finger buttons right here, okay? This bottom one, or this first one, opens the blade up after you've made your cut. Now to do a cut, you press the kind of the safety lock here, and then you pull this trigger. Now it's a little bit, this is what I don't like about it. This is a little goofy how you have to kind of press this button on the side, like a typical safety switch, like you have on saws and things like that. It won't just press over and lock. You kind of have to press it, and then you can press the second button and it'll do the motion. Now you don't have to hold down the unlocking button. You just have to press it once before you press this button here. Now when you want to pull this blade back up, you just pull that trigger and it pulls the blade back up automatically. The variable speed, I'll show you that. So when I pull this trigger down, you can see I can pull it nice and slowly, or I can speed it right up. Okay, and then I just pull that to release the blade back up. Now there's another button on the back here. Let's say we're cutting and we cut through the pipe that far and we want to stop because we made a mistake. You can press this little button here over to the side, and it will mechanically raise that that blade up. Now you can flick it back over. Really?
We're good now.
Okay, we're back live. We disconnected. I don't know what's going on. Internet, eh? So I've always used a Sawzall or a chop saw, even a skill saw to cut pipe, such as like ABS. This thing will only cut to 2 inch, and I'm going to show you that in a sec. But the beauty about this tool is that it leaves a 0 burrs. So for example, let's start off small. You'll probably never cut pecs with this because there's better cutters, faster hand cutters. But let's just cut some pecs. So no problem, okay? It's very, very easy to do that. And this red one here is PEX as well. Now let's just cut a little bit of conduit. So you can see there's like 0 burrs. So you don't have to clean this off at all. It's just ready to glue up, put your connection on, and away you go. Now if we go up to 1.5 ABS, again, no problem. There's no burrs on either piece. When it's cutting, it almost looks like it squashes the pipe just a little bit, but you know, you don't see any deflection once it's done cutting. So it's a really nice cut. Now if we go up to 2-inch, there you go. Nice and straight, nice and smooth, really flat. I love it. So if I was to cut this with a Sawzall, I'm going to demonstrate. A lot of plumbers will use these little ones like this, Milwaukee or DeWalt, or we've got this larger Sawzall. Typically I'll put in a metal blade just because when you cut with a metal blade, it's just a little bit nicer cut. So I'll just cut some 1.5 just to give you an example here. Tiff, you might want to plug your ears. All right, so with that cut, there are some burrs right along here. So you just kind of want to take them off, okay, and then you can put your glue on and away you go. It's a fast way to cut pipe, but as you see, it's a little bit violent. Sometimes the blade will go off askew. I mean, if you're a plumber and you do this every day, not necessarily a big deal, but for me, I really, really like this cutter. As far as weight goes, these two are about equal in weight. They feel very, very similar. So if you're unsure, you know, for comparison, if you've got this Sawzall, very, very close. This Sawzall with a 5 amp hour battery is definitely way heavier than this cutter. All right. Another thing I like about this is the way it's designed. You could modify a belt hook for your hammer and you could hook this on, no problem. All right. So I'm thinking about doing that because if you're up on a ladder or if you're up on scaffolding and you're doing pipe up in some floor joists or up in the rafters, whatever you're doing, cutting with a saw sometimes isn't the best, right? You've got, you know, debris falling down. Maybe you don't have a bench to put the pipe against. So I just really like this because I can just kind of cut in the air here. And this is where this trigger sometimes, I've noticed, and it's actually happening right here. That's good. I've noticed it gets stuck sometimes, which is really, really interesting. See? Uh-oh, we're having a live problem. I can't even get this open right now, guys. I'm going to pull the battery. I have full battery. That. I mean, you couldn't ask for this, right? This is actually showing an issue with the tool, and I've never had this problem. There we go. That was weird. This trigger that releases the blade was stuck on me, so there must be something going on there.
On the desk so I can see.
Yeah, there must be something going on in there that, I mean, it is new, so maybe it just needs to be worked in a little. I don't know. But my point was, this is just so much easier just to like hold up in the air and I can just cut. Right? Cutting like this is not easy. This shakes around all over the place. It's a super pain in the butt. It's not very accurate. Now, I know a lot of plumbers all use the hand ratchet cutters. So basically it's got little notches and it's kind of like a pair of pruners for a tree. It's just meant to cut 2-inch pipe. those are really, really great. There's nothing wrong with those at all. They're fast, they're light, you can keep them in your pouch. The only problem I have with them is the fact that you're using your hands and you're constantly squeezing. Now, if you're a young guy and you're just new to the trades, take it from someone who's been in the trades a long time. The more you use your body, the more it's gonna hurt you in the long run. So, you know, if you're always using your palm to hit stuff, I see a lot of flooring guys using their hands to bang things. Framers, you know, we've got hammers, so we're always smashing nails, so we get tennis elbow. So myself, I have tennis elbow from framing, and my hands are quite sore sometimes just from overusing them, just gripping. And, you know, a lot of the times when you're gripping things that are small or really holding on to things that are small, like handles on pliers, on cutters, that's where you develop serious arthritis and things like that in your hands. So, you know, if you want to kind of save your body, and believe me, when I was young, I didn't think this was going to happen to me, but it happens. Your hands start to hurt over time. And I remember I was taking a machine shop course way back when I was young, in my 20s, and my teacher, he was telling us he always used to sort of hit the lathe with the palm of his hand. And after doing that for like 10 years, he developed so much nerve damage that he's just got excruciating pain in his hand. So even though some things are quicker, more convenient, it's not necessarily better for your body. So that's why I really love this cutter. I know it's old and it's been around a really long time, but it just takes that, you know, the jarring, the vibrating, like that the Sawzall gives us, or the constant clamping with our hands that hand cutters give us. So if you can think about that, think about your future, then sometimes it's good to spend 150 bucks and get yourself a tool that will, you know, do all the hard work for you. So that's just sort of a piece of advice for all you young guys out there. And if you're massively huge and can crush stones with your bare hands, then it probably doesn't matter what I said. So, you know.
Well, I just want to bring in a little comment from George DeVal.
Hey, George.
Hopefully I'm saying your last name right, George, because he's watching. And he says, "This is great. Your coverage of actual useful tools is unmatched." Saying.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I like to show as much as I can. You know, I'm always learning myself, and this tool is actually new to me. I've seen plumbers use it in the past. The plumbers I use currently right now, I don't even know if they have this tool. I'm gonna have to ask them, but I've seen them use the ratchet tool a lot. And I don't know, this year, maybe it's just the cold weather, but my fingers are really sore this year, and it's just bugging me. So, you know, when you can get away with not using your hands as actual tools, like beating things, you know, our hands, our arms are not hammers, and you know, karate chopping things doesn't work. So yeah, I always like to use tools. Now, another reason why I love this is a lot of guys cut ABS pipe or, you know, Schedule 80, whatever, with a chop saw. Now that's great if you're sort of set up and you've got maybe a guy just cutting for you and you're up on a scaffold or whatever and he's just shooting you measurements and pieces. That's great, but again, the chop saw does leave that little burr. It's loud, it makes a heck of a mess, and it's kind of big. I've got a little DeWalt saw here, which I use all the time, and I'll give you an example. And then I'm gonna show you what not to cut with this tool in a second here. All right, so, you know, you could use this, and we'll just cut some 1.5 inches, throw some glasses. All right, so as far as burrs go, it's very, very small. There's a little one right here, you know, not too bad. And then on the piece that you cut off, it always leaves this little kind of strip right there. So, you know, it's not the greatest, and...
Babe, I need another earplug.
You need another earplug?
I don't know where you keep them.
1 second, guys. We need earplugs for Tiffany. And you better put your glasses on.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Okay, so back to the video. Yeah, chop saws are great if you're kind of set up in one spot and you got like a million cuts or whatever. They're great, but I still think this is better. Mostly for portability and cleanliness and all that good stuff. So next is vacuum flow pipe. All right, you'd think that you could cut this, but I gave it a try and let's see what happens, all right? It's gonna be a little exciting.
Is it glasses time?
Yeah. So here we go. Pretend you're a vacuum flow guy and you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy this tool because I want to do vacuum flow. Let's see if this works. Barely. See how it squashed it? Didn't cut all the way through. Okay. Let's try it again. Oh, getting ahead of myself. All right. So earlier when I was trying this, it exploded on me and you can see this leaves like burrs, it deforms the pipe. It's got this giant piece of plastic that's just torn. So no, you cannot use this tool to cut vacuum flow pipe. Okay, it's just a no-go. You got to use a chop saw or you got to use one of those cutters or I don't even know. I've never tried a ratchet on this, but I've always cut vacuum flow pipe with a chop saw or Sawzall. So there's a tip. Don't think you can do that. I'm just overall super impressed with this tool.
George says, wow, that's the result I get when cutting PB pipe with my Cobalt PEX cutter.
I haven't used the Cobalt PEX cutter, but yeah, right tool for the right job. You know, it just really comes down to
Yeah, he says it crushes it versus cutting it.
yeah, and sometimes that might have to do with the sharpness of the blade. I know what is it? Ryobi makes one of these, but it looks more like, it actually looks kind of like this. It looks like a DeWalt gun with a cutter on the front. And I don't really like it because it's just bigger. It's harder to carry and you know, it's Ryobi. This is just a lot smaller and easier.
Why don't you like Ryobi?
Why don't I like Ryobi? Ryobi is just not for professionals, like in my opinion. I've had DeWalt for years. I'm getting into Milwaukee and I've literally dropped DeWalt off of roofs, ladders, you name it, still runs great. Ryobi is just heavier. The mechanics inside are not as good. You know, it's just a homeowner type grade.
Oh boy.
A beginner grade. A beginner.
Oh,
Let me
boy.
make that a little more correct. A beginner's grade tool.
Yeah,
right?
because you're a homeowner.
I am a homeowner, but I guess that's not an accurate way to say it. But yeah, it's for beginners.
Let me just tell you, George was saying
Weekend warriors.
I think he's still talking about the Cobalt.
Yeah.
It's a manual cutter, polybutylene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know what
I know.
that is. Polybutylene.
Butylene.
Butylene
Yeah.
pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, George. Yeah, that's, you know, I've got tools too that they just don't cut properly. They squash things or whatever. I even have like some PEX pipe cutters. I think they're made by Rigid. I should have got them out for this demo, but I didn't. But yeah, after a while, they're crushing the PEX. So you don't want that, right? You don't want to have pipe that's deformed and making a mess. So
Yeah, George says he's replacing some of his old gray PB pipe and transitioning to PEX.
yeah. Let me see that.
Is that's it? Whoa, I almost knocked over the giant stack of Milwaukee you got going on.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's converting to PEX. So yeah, we're always converting like old homes that have copper or yeah, PB pipe. It's just better, right? If you're opening it up, it's just better to change it out.
Isn't it a code thing going on too, or?
Good question. Is it code? I know you're not allowed to use it anymore,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, we're only allowed using PEX. We can use copper. We can use copper, like Pro Press and all that kind of stuff. You can still solder. Copper is just super expensive, and you know it's time consuming. PEX is so fast. There's lots of different ways to connect PEX, whether it's crimp rings or I don't recommend shark bites just because that's more of like a temporary fix. I don't think you should use shark bite connectors in wall cavities where you're never going to see them, because ultimately it's just a compression fitting. It's not really like a crimp ring or anything like that. So yeah.
Well, George is really up to date on all this stuff. He says he's eventually replacing all PV pipe, and it's no longer available, and it's outlawed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Poly B.
Where are you based, George? Just kind of curious. The presentation part is over. You're not taking away at all. We are
No.
fully into the interactive part now.
Yeah, when Tiffany comes in, that means I'm done.
Well, it usually means we've got a question or a comment, and we just love hearing from you. So, Brad's up for anything.
Yeah, I'm up for anything.
Yeah.
Back to this, it 200 cuts on 1.5 amp hour battery is pretty amazing. And I've actually got a little piece of pipe in here.
Oh,
in there.
George is in Virginia.
Virginia,
Nice.
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, anytime I come across Poly B, we replace it because it leaks. It's just not very good. I've never had an issue with PEX pipe leaking or having issues in, years later after a build. So they've definitely ironed it out. Copper is always interesting. It seems to want to leak, especially if it's like 50 years old or something. It just starts to break down, which is scary. I hope that PEX pipe doesn't do that after 50 years or 100 years or whatever it is, right? You just kind of hope that stuff doesn't start to happen in a home, because water damage is the worst.
George has the third generation of PV piping. I'm thinking that's what you mean when you say third gen. Third gen.
Yeah. Third
So
time
that's
it came
cool.
out. Yeah. Cool. Right on. I'll keep on crushing it, George. I'm not a plumber, so I can't get into too many plumbing.
But you're doing so
talks.
many plumber tools lately.
Am I? I don't
Well,
even know.
Yeah.
I guess this classifies as a plumber tool.
It's funny. One of our favorite plumbers
Maybe this one?
is really into the endoscope that you've been talking about.
Oh yeah. The snake camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say it wrong?
An endoscope? I don't think it's called an endoscope. It's a snake camera.
I don't know.
It's like it's a 6-meter snake cam that we
Yeah.
did, which is totally IP rated. I think IP 56 or something like it, 58. And it's got 2 cameras on it. We did a review on it, and yeah, it's on our channel. But you can put that right down a drain, or you could put it in a water line and kind of figure out what's wrong. It's got a camera on the front and on the side, so you can kind of, as you're going down, you can switch between the 2 camera shots. And the screen is a full 1080p, so you got really, really good clarity. And yeah, it's just a really cool tool to have if you're a plumber. There's some more tools that we're going to be reviewing in the future here for plumbing specifically that are really sweet. So one of them is another type of snake camera. But yeah, that's a little ways away, I think.
Ask for any other questions.
Yeah, do you guys have any other questions? I know a lot about DeWalt. I'd love to do, like, just thinking out loud here, like a new tool a week if Tiffany lets me buy it. But I was kind of playing with the idea of like getting a new tool every week and reviewing it on Fridays kind of thing. But we'll have to see if the wife approves this one. Because this is a new tool, and we have a big job coming up where we're doing a ton of ABS pipe, and this is a huge time saver for me. So that's why we got this. I can be up on a ladder, I can just be cutting my pipe, and I don't have to get down and you either use a chop saw or cut using like a Sawzall. And I'm not even going to entertain using hand cutters just because my hands are sore. So, yeah. What do you got, Tiff?
I have more comments from George, who's saying, "Give him the green light, please." Well, we'll see what the budget
We'll
is.
see what the budget is. We'll see what tools like pencil, sure.
But George already likes the tools and projects you cover, Brad.
All right on.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And he says you offer a good source for DIYs out there. So that's really great to hear because that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to teach, I guess, right?
Yeah, and actually we're starting to get the Brad obviously is the hammer part of Hammer and Home, and
Yeah.
the phase two of Hammer and Home is just getting started now. And I actually just started a blog about home decor, so I've been really getting into that lately, and that's on our website, hammerandhome.ca. Don't know if you guys watching are into home decor, but that's kind of my department.
Yeah. So I'm the hammer, she's the home, and yeah, we've been a long time working on the hammer side of things. So it's lots of new stuff coming down the pipe, that's for sure. And Tiffany's been working pretty hard at the blogs and the websites and all the research and design ideas. We've got a build going on right now where she's heavily involved in sort of the design aspect of it. So yeah, it's exciting stuff coming along.
Yeah, so much going on. So I think we have time for maybe, oh, well, before I say that, George has spent 20 years in cabinetry and trim carpentry. Well,
Right on.
yeah, it sounds like you guys have a lot in common.
Yeah, so when I started, my first year was in renovations, and then after that, I spent, I don't know, 3 years, 2 years doing finishing carpentry. That's sort of really when I really learned how to build. And then I got back into renovations again with another employer. And yeah, we did everything from building cabinets to mantles, archways, all that good stuff, trim, of course, windows and base case, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, really focusing on renovations. So my training is very, very broad. I've learned everything from how to, crib a house, you know, using ICF, insulated concrete forms, rebar work, framing. I've worked around plumbers and electricians a lot, so I really do know how to do all that kind of stuff as well. But being a general contractor, it's always important, I think, to know how to do all the jobs so that when your trades guys are in there, you can kind of catch things, or at least, even if you don't know the code, and I mean, knowing plumbing code, electrical code is always pretty complex, but at least knowing, okay, I've got a cabinet going here. Can you move your pipe, 3 inches over to the right or to the left? Or I got to put backing in for this cabinetry or this hardware. So I think being a general contractor, a lot of guys just sort of take some course, not a lot, but some guys that I've met take some course, get a clipboard, and away they go. And sure, maybe they're really good at organizing and all that, but when it comes to dealing with the trades and comes to being able to catch things, because things are going wrong daily on job sites, which George, I'm sure you're fully aware of. Yeah, it's just super important to have a very well balanced, well rounded knowledge base on how a home is built and all these different things. So that's why I think after 20 years of experience, we're sharing the information, and I love tools, so we're doing lots of tool reviews, and we're only just going to keep expanding on all kinds of projects that we have coming down. So
So I think we have time for one more question out there. In the
all right.
meantime, George is saying, yeah, no job ever goes according to
Never,
plan.
never,
Ever.
never. Even the
Ever.
smallest, simplest job, right? Like case a window. You'd think it's easy, but then whoever put the window in put it in crooked. So now you're having to like shim out the jamb or bash a bunch of drywall, or it's just nothing's easy. Nothing's straightforward.
Well,
Unless it's IKEA, then it's just put it together. But
and
then
hope,
you got to
you
mount
have
it.
everything you're supposed to have in the package.
Yeah.
All the little.
Yeah, no, I take that back.
Kona Man is here.
Hey, Kona Man.
Good day. Oh boy, you know, I think we should never have started that whole Bob and Doug conversation with Kona Man because now it's never just good day. It's always good day, A,
Hey.
because we're based in Canada, even though we never say A, but
I do.
you do? I never hear you say A.
It's because she says it and she doesn't realize it.
I never say it. No, I don't. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
No.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. And yeah, so guys, I don't see any burning questions here, so I think we are going to wrap this up. Quick
Yeah,
lunch
guys.
night, it's Friday night.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
Everyone
feeling all right.
get back to enjoying your barbecue or whatever you're doing. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be doing another live next week along with all of our weekly tool reviews that we'll be putting out. And we're doing a lot of shorts too. So if you notice, you know, weird, small little videos, 30 seconds long, we're just trying out shorts on YouTube. And that's just me doing like a quick cut or a quick little piece of info or knowledge. And yeah, see how that goes as well. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the questions, George. And Kona Man, talk to you later. Till next time, keep on crushing it. We'll catch you later.